Hi, Annie. I see you. Let me make you a co-host.
Okay.
All right. You should be good to go on that. Okay. So really quickly, a welcome to our Cert Supervisor meeting. I should have done some kind of cute St. Patty's Day stuff, but I actually just made this PowerPoint like 2 hours ago. So it's really not my best PowerPoint I've ever done in my life. So welcome. Already passed the first one. So we're going to take a really quick look at our user interface that Annie has been working on. Now, I know that Neil and Dave and I have been talking about what we're going to do as far as Google and things like that, which I haven't updated Annie on, but I think we'll still move forward on kind of what we're doing because we can always flip that to another platform, right? I don't know. Well, I'll let you know, Annie, what we talked about. We're going to do a quick, I want to give you an update on how many people have signed up for teen and adult CERT and the launching that's been going on with that, just so that in case people ask you, and I'll be sending out all the information in a big email after probably tomorrow morning. I just talked a little bit, but we're looking at some CERT collaborations with the El Monte fire crews, specific to Silver Alert for sure. There's some other stuff, but I'll kind of get a little more into that. I want to talk quickly about CERT specialty groups, special projects, general laborer / spontaneous volunteers, and kind of what our vision is of really getting into these different, full CERT. How can we pull people in that have really good backgrounds, but maybe, don't want to do the full, hey, I'm a CERT and I have to go to all this, background, whatever, fingerprinting and so much and so forth. And then I just want to talk really quickly about some of the meeting objectives that we should look at for these group meetings, because I want them to obviously be beneficial. And, I'm not 100% sure on what direction you guys all want to go in. So we'll talk about that at the end too. So first rollout is Annie, and I'm just going to say thank you so much for all your help. That poor girl, and Dave and Neil can attest. She has to get information out of me that, since I'm so techie, is like a horrible description of what I'm looking for or what other people are looking for. So she's got the patience of a saint. So thank you. Let me stop sharing, and then you can. She's going to kind of show you what her and I have been working on.
Okay, sure. I'll try to share my screen now.
If it doesn't for some reason, let me know and I can mess around with.
Okay, let's see if this will work. Okay, are you seeing the screen? Okay.
Yeah.
I see it.
Okay, great. So this is the, so I've been working with Victoria on coming up with some new user interface, look and feel, and layout and content. And so this is the current Los Altos Hills CERT website. You can see this is done using Google Sites, and it has the menu on the left side. And so you click on it and, the menu goes through different pages. And so talking to Victoria, sounds like, you guys want to see maybe a little bit more color and images and more content. So we came up with, working with her, came up with some ideas. And this is next page is using Google Sites, duplicating it and using the same content, but a new user interface. So if you look at it, so this is just an example. So notice first that the menu is on the top. So Google Sites gives you the option to have the menu on the top or the side. And this is the same content. So I just kind of pulled it over, but with the new user interface, and the CERT icon is also a new one. It was designed, I guess, by somebody that Victoria had with, you can see probably further down what it's going to look like. So the CERT with the Los Altos Hills, and some of the coloring that we put in was green and blue, dark blue, green. I mean, these all can be changed. It's just an idea. And sort of like right now, just the content is pretty much the same. So we're thinking like for the first iteration, but of course you guys can decide, we can decide that, what the first iteration would be, but more like the same content with a new user interface look and feel. But if you click on all these, it's going to be, like what we had before. And we can decide also if we want to put in different, like a background here, like what we have for the homepage. So that's one of the user interface ideas. And so I showed this to Victoria and looking for feedback from the team. And I want to show you a second user interface. This one is something that kind of going forward, not the first iteration, but going forward, because this will have different sort of like different content. And these are kind of right now, there's not much there. It's just kind of menu that Victoria suggested, like maybe for future iterations, future releases, like the contents that we want to see, like different calendar, member portal, home. And again, this is still very similar. And this is something possibly going forward, you might have something like, like welcome page. And then you have news and announcements and upcoming events. And each of these will be clickable. And something like on the right-hand side, like, just click on this, you'll go to classes, calendar, member portal, gallery, but these are just ideas. And we don't have to have that. The coloring is pretty similar, the green and the blue. And then here we also have some connections to like, Twitter, Facebook, social media accounts. You could have other things. And these will go to those pages as well. There's respective
The blue is a good fireman uniform blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, so these are ideas, and so I showed these to Victoria the other day, and she suggested I show this to the group today and get feedback. So
it looks good, either one of them. How would we get access to the private website? I see you have a link up on the upper right.
this is just my website, my own working website. I took a copy of the Cert because I have access to that as an editor. I took a copy of that and created, my own copy, and then I'm editing it, so it doesn't affect the actual current page. If you want access to it, certainly I can certainly add you as a to provide access, but
no, that's not what I meant. So there's stuff that's publicly available, and it looks like everything except for the last tab that you have up there is public stuff. And there's a bunch of stuff that we need to do as supervisors that we don't want the general public to have access to, like rosters and
so
stuff
the
that
way
we're working on.
Yeah, the way I believe this works is that you have to be anyways, like this is the current size. So if you want get access.
Annie, can I help? I don't think anything changes, Steve. It's the same way.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just going to be,
That's only to be improved. Make it easier. It's a little awkward the way it is now.
Yeah, you mean like how it is on the site where it has getting access to public site?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we haven't quite gotten that far yet. We're going to be fixing the member portal stuff too. But for the first iteration, we're just taking what we have currently on the site, kind of popping into a new user interface, and then we'll start doing other reiterations and fixing that issue. But it shouldn't change the access or anything. But yeah, I see what you're saying. So yeah, that's something that we're going to be redoing, but in some other later versions.
Okay.
Yeah, and then this is an ongoing thing because it will be, changing adding contents throughout, right? Maybe, I don't know how frequently, once a month or whatever, you're going to be adding contents and news and new calendar, new classes or whatever, right? New things you want to put on. So I'm thinking, and this is like, I talked to Victoria, thinking that proposing this be like I don't know, in software we call it like a 1.0, the first release, like with the new user interface look and feel. And then the next iteration down the line would be probably changing more like the more updated user interface with the tiles and the things on the side. And that might be the next one after that. And then with different content, like updated content. So that's the idea.
I like the link. I like the menus at the top, or tabs, links, whatever you want to call them, because it gives you more room for the content. So that's good. I like it.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think this is a tremendous improvement over what we have. Although almost anything would be, not to cut at this. My only concern is that, the more we put into it, somebody's got to keep it up, particularly with stuff like news and announcements. If it's easier to actually have many people make those improvements or edits, and particularly Victoria get in to do a calendar and whatever. You know, that's wonderful. I'm all in favor of dressing this up. It's been the barest of websites for a long time.
Yeah, I think I'll be doing a lot of the updates like I do for our part on the LAH CFD website, which that's kind of the next thing that I'm going to work on, is, you know, we got to fix that title page that we have up there on the main website too. But yeah, I definitely, we got to start somewhere. So we looked at a lot of different cert websites, and to be honest, ours was not that bad.
that's
That's
a sad
scary.
state of affairs.
No, it's really sad. I thought, oh my God, we're going to be like the worst. And we really weren't. So Neil, you had your hand up. Sorry.
So just looking, first of all, I think the design looks fine. I'm not, objecting to any of the look and feel changes. Some of the, samples seem to mix, information for outsiders versus information for insiders. And I think, in terms of the goal of the website, we should just figure out front, whether we want it to be a private cert website, private, not private as in secret, but private as in focused on cert members, and then prospective members go somewhere else, or we're trying to do both those things with the same site. And because I think you want to be clear about your goals, otherwise it turns into a mix of both.
So the way I look at this, and you guys tell me what you like, don't like, or other suggestions, is that this page right here is going to be for news and information, and could be for both, but real cert members go onto the portal from here. That's how I thought that because we have the other.
Okay, well, that's not the current philosophy, at least. The current philosophy is everything that can be public is on the public website, and only things that like have personally identifiable info or other things that can't be published to everyone go on the private site. And I'm not saying we can't change that, but that was the philosophy, because as we heard from Steve's comments, lots of people have trouble getting to the private site at all.
Right. That's a good point. So
we don't have to figure it out now, but I think it should be a clearly identified set of goals for the site. And I'm mostly thinking about, how much of the population of the main menus go there. Because if you're on a smaller screen or a phone, it still has to work.
Yeah, we've looked at that issue too, Annie.
Oh yeah, it does work with the Google Sites. You can view it. I think there's a way we could view it in. Let's see if I have it up here.
I know it's a responsive site, but if you push it to the fifth, or if you have your first three items being how to become a CERT member and why CERT is great and PEP programs, that means the CERT stuff is menu item 4, 5, and 6, for example.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, Neil. Yeah. Okay.
So this is a preview.
Another important thing is,
sorry.
Go, Steve.
We have the public-facing side of things, which is going to be a lot of information. And as Neil said, there's stuff that has to be kept private, but the supervisor view of things should still look like an integrated site with some stuff not accessible to others. So you don't want to have to go, is this a public thing or is this a private thing? So again, this is 2.0 or 3.0. Think about how to make that look seamless to the supervisors as well as seamless to the public.
Yeah, we saw a lot of, most of the sites that we looked at were set up like this, where they had like a member portal, but we can look at that for sure and make a decision on what we want to do about that.
Yeah, I mean, you don't get to see what's on their member portal.
Some had it open. So some had, so I noticed that like Campbell Cert, I can look up every single thing. Like all their documents,
so maybe we get
everything.
some ideas from that. And again, I want it to look not like we chopped it in half and we can only look at this half of it now and that half of it if we're supervisors.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a very good point. Neil, is your hand still up or up again?
Nope, I just forgot to lower it.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I just want to say that you guys brought up like you can view it this is in the like view web in the browser on your computer, and this would be in a tablet form what it will look like, and this would be what it looks like on the phone, and you notice that the menu then will be on the left. So that's allows you to see what it will look like actually when it's, of course, it's kind of,
That's pretty cool.
yeah, so that's the,
And it doesn't matter if the menu's on the left for a phone because it slides out of the way so you can get the full amount of content when the menu slides out of the way.
right.
I think Neil, what you're saying is that, you know, if this is going to be a shared website, then if I was to go on it as a CERT member and the first three things are geared towards non-CERT members, is that what you're saying? Like when you pull it up?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
you know, it's really a question of, do you want two different sites, one for prospective members and non-members and PEP and tree trimming, or sorry, tree trimming is not a thing anymore.
Yeah, I know what
Defensible
you're saying.
space,
Yeah.
which are all useful things to go communicate about, right? Or how many of those are on the CERT site, you know, the CERT member site.
Yeah.
There's always a tension between being more tightly focused and broader community.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I would argue that what we want is something that's fairly CERT focused, our own membership, and maybe, you know, other groups that come by and say, well, so how do they do things? But I
Mhm.
think for a lot of the general public shows up and wants to know what CERT is, you're going to end up with redundancies between this and the www.lahcfd. And, you know, there's a professional webmaster with a better user interface going on there. And it, you know, that strikes me as the fire district's better handle or better set up to handle that, as opposed to this, which, you know, I'd like to see focused on our membership, making sure the documents are available, making sure, you know, the procedures are available to us. And, you know, if it's all public information and should be, there's no reason why anyone who comes up shouldn't be able to look in and see what's going on. But, you know, maybe what the get involved does is it drives you over to the same page on the district's website.
Yeah, that was like if somebody stumbles upon this, right? And they go, okay, well, that doesn't really, but I'm interested in CERT. Like, what do I do next? So I think that's why there was a lot of combined stuff, because we really did follow like a lot of the other CERT websites.
Mhm.
So I think if we want to look at that, then we need to either pull some things out or maybe just have one tab that says, want to be a CERT, click, and that'll go back to the website or something like that. And we can take out, we can make things more CERT focused. If that's what you guys are saying you want, that's not a problem at all. We can easily do that. And then pull out what we need to.
I think that works better and makes more sense. I'd rather have the you should become a CERT under the auspices of the fire district's website, as opposed to the CERT. You know, I mean, we don't drive you away from the CERT website, but
right.
I guess I also thinking, so which one are you more likely to come across first? And the answer would be, I think, the fire district's website rather than ours.
If you put in, because I know like people search like Los Altos Hills CERT, right?
Yeah.
So what's going to pop up in that CERT engine first? Because that's what they're gonna click on.
Right. Well, and
I mean,
then
no matter what, we're going to want pointers, at least from our website to the public one.
I was just about to say that, because, you know, the more times you repeat yourself, the more likely you are to be saying two different things.
Yeah. So that's good. Okay. So we'll because Annie and I are going to talk, you know, next week, we'll look at that, Annie, and kind of see, we'll change it up a little bit. And just kind of, thank you. That's what I needed to know. That's why I wanted to have you guys kind of tell me what you're looking for on that. I know that a lot of these things, I don't want it to be super repetitive. And I think it'll be good to think about in terms of that, right? In more CERT, that's our CERT webpage. I saw it a little bit differently, but I can see what the need is now. So that's good.
Okay.
Thank you for that feedback.
But again, I want to say that I think, you know, working on the user interface and look and feel of this thing, 100% behind that.
Yeah, thank you. No, I think that's great. And that'll help me too, to know sort of where I want to focus the LHCFD.org website stuff, right? Because that's the next thing that has to kind of change. And yeah. Okay, cool.
So one thing
Anyone?
that could be useful is come up with some user scenarios. I'm not a cert, but I'm curious about it. What am I going to do to go through the different links? I'm a cert. What classes are coming up? What do I need to know? What are the possible things that I'm going to look at? Or I'm a
Right.
supervisor. Where's the info that I need to get to?
Yeah, I didn't have the supervisor look to that. I wasn't thinking along those lines, so that's good. Thank you for that clarification. Awesome.
And for better or for worse, we really don't have any distinction between you're a cert or you're a supervisor right now.
Yeah.
If you're a cert at all, you get access to everything. And so I think
Even
those
the
are the right
non-public
kinds
stuff?
of questions to ask yourself, that you
Yeah.
should ask
Even
out
the
of a site
non-public
design.
stuff? Lee?
Yep.
Okay. Then, okay.
But maybe we need to look at that, Steve, right? Is that another thing we can work on after that, right? Is to kind of making it, maybe there is a necessity to have just a cert supervisor area too.
Well, again,
You know?
the idea is which information needs to be kept confidential.
Right. Yeah, that would be definitely something to look at too. Okay, cool. Well, thank you, Annie. That was spectacular. And thank you for all your hard work on this. And that's good. We've got a direction to go in that'll be not too far off of trying to pull a couple things out of here. So,
Okay, thanks. I'll stop sharing now.
okay. All right. Back at it. Let's see. Where do we start? Over there. Just a real quick update on teen. I've had 6 more teens sign up in the last 3 hours. We did a big push at Los Altos High School, and all of a sudden it was like crazy. It was all in like a 20-minute period. There was like 5 emails that came in. I just saw another one come in too, another one for adults. So I think we're up to, so that's already wrong from 2 hours ago. I think we're up to 21 kids and 12 or 13 adults. So as the word's spreading, we're definitely getting more people signed up. We launched last week, but again, I think we have put some restrictions on it. So I think I'm going to waitlist people at 30 for adults. I know I'm sounding crazy, like, oh yeah, good luck getting 30, but we're already almost halfway there. And I know a lot of the teens, they got the information about the parent sign up. So and we have it also went out to Los Altos as well. So, and thank you, Dave. Dave sent it out to, he's got a neighborhood group. He sent the information out. So thank you for doing that, Dave. That's awesome. We're still gonna need help on skills days. You don't have to be an instructor, but we're just gonna need some support and help. I did, reach out. We can't really reach out to County Fire right this second because everything's still shut down for COVID. So the ask is not really there, but we've kind of given them a heads up. So hopefully, I do have a call out to some instructors in Los Altos, and then teens that join the program, if they're outside of Los Altos or Los Altos Hills, we're going to be kind of giving an ask to those cities, see if they can help send some instructors too, because we're going to, I think we've got our interest form that we sent out to kids. We have got 70 kids sign up. Oh no, 75, I'm sorry. Signed up that are interested, and obviously they're slowly but surely getting signed up. So if you guys want to do any kind of instruction and help us out, I haven't really looked into who's been taking the instructor class. No, train the trainer class. I haven't looked at who's actually done that, but the requirement right now is that you don't have to have that credentialing. As long as you are working under a program manager that has had that training, and then you take the units that we're going to be, skills testing on, that you kind of take that unit online and then, kind of look at the skill stuff, and we'll do a couple skills training days too. But if you don't want to deal with that shenanigans, but you just want to come out and help, let me know, because I would love to have some help on that. I just had a conversation this morning with a couple of the captains from El Monte, And I was kind of talking then to them about, you know, what can you see us helping with CERT with? What's kind of in your wheelhouse for us? And I know that Dave Stewart has already reached out a couple of years ago and kind of started that communication. And I think because of COVID, and then one of the fire captains lost his wife unexpectedly at 39 years old. So that kind of waylaid another year of that. I know Dave and I were just talking prior to the meeting starting that, you know, there's been some reach out to Marcia on Silver Alert, you know, what's considered a activation coverage for DSW, things like that. So I'm going to rehab that conversation with her a little bit because they definitely were happy to hear that, you know, we wanted to have those discussions again, and they definitely want to look at CERT as a resource. And I think that's really smart to start, you know, how Dave already started those conversations, to continue that because, you know, we're going to be working with them. Another thing they also brought up was that they're interested in looking for maybe some other things to help with. Evacuation is something that obviously, you know, they're not going to look to you guys to help with evacuation, at least not right now. You know, that's going to be more of a, after you guys evacuate yourselves, you know, helping set up a shelter, make sure you and your family are okay, but helping set up shelters and things like that. I don't think that, you know, really looking at being activated on evacuation purely to get people out of their homes, unless you guys do it on your own. And also too, they did mention, which I was going to bring up earlier with Dave, but I think we ran out of time. They are hoping that in the event that there's an earthquake and we go and we're at the Ark, they would like us to put up a triage area in the driveway of the fire station. Their thought is that they're going to be gone doing because they do their own surveying, right? Their own recon. Surveying for damage, they're going to be gone. And so, you know, their way of thinking, which I think is very realistic, is, you know, if I don't know there's an Ark, or I don't know where to go, because I don't know how much education's out there about people knowing to go down there, they're going to go to the fire station, right? So their ask is that we consider setting up you know, we can do a whole triage area there, we can do a half triage area there, but they really want us to look at doing that. Is that something that you guys have ever had talks about in the past? Am I just repeating information that you've already been aware of?
I don't think we've ever talked about putting the triage area on the apron at the fire station. It's always been out in the parking lot. But before the Ark got moved twice, you know, it was only 100 feet away.
Yeah.
We have had some talks about,
yeah,
you know, what to put at the fire station, what to put at the Ark, and
yeah,
and whether or not we should put a radio amateur radio antenna at the Ark.
mm-hmm.
And their answer was always, it's so close, we really don't need to do anything at the fire station. So it seems logistically harder to split the group into two parts, one group at the Ark, one group, and we already have plans for a triage area near the Ark.
Right.
Maybe it would be better to just plan on signage that we can easily put up, saying, you know, big arrow, go here.
Yeah, I think that's, you know, probably something that we're going to have to consider doing in our planning, if, you know, and if it comes to the point where people are just not able to walk over there, right? Because you may have that too. There might be someone that drives up, gets dropped off, and, you know, we don't have a way to get over to where they need to go.
Yeah, I don't believe it. If they got to the fire station, because no one lives on the doorstep of the fire station,
right?
They can get to the Ark.
I agree. I think that's a good way to do it with signage. But I think we just have to look at reality, which is, you know, they will go to the fire station first, unless they know otherwise. Do you guys know how much communication is out there about the Ark and to go down there? I mean, what do residents know? Because I really don't know that.
They don't. There's not a lot of formal messaging to go either place.
Yeah. Okay. Do you guys know, like, what their thought process would be? Like, have people talked to you about, like, where they would go, what they would do?
Who's they in your question?
Anyone that's a resident of Los Altos Hills, neighbors, family members, like, what's people's plans?
CERT just doesn't have a high profile in the town among random residents.
Yeah.
Right. So the thoughts where people are most likely to go are fire stations, just because firemen help.
Yeah,
and people know where it is, and
Yeah.
town hall, because town hall.
that was the other
Yeah.
thing I was thinking too. Town hall and the fire station. Okay.
Well, or more likely, just straight to the hospital.
Yes, that is true. Okay, because that's something I haven't really asked about, and I was wondering myself. So anyway, that was an ask for them to consider us doing that. I think that's something that we can look at as at least being some kind of assistance in that area, but signs are a good plan as well.
Yeah, I would urge you to give an answer like, yes, but let's do it this way.
Yeah, yeah. I think the ask will be there as long as we know that the ask is going to be there. We'll have a, hey, this is, we don't think it's a smart thing to do for us, but we can also do signage, or we can make sure that we're pushing people to where they need to go. So I know we talked in the past, but Marcia and I have been working on getting some better, I guess, planning. We have to have another planning meeting. It's just very tertiary for the time being, but she has been working on the online form that's not editable. She just sent it to me like a couple days ago, and I just saw it prior to the meeting. So I'm going to have to update you guys in the next meeting. But I think we're getting closer to kind of figuring out different, and I want to say levels, like a tier response level for CERT. Something that I know, I've talked to some of you guys about, and Dave and I have talked about, same with Neil. So, these are just sort of, I have ideas of what we're looking at for tier response. So we've got the full cert, certified cert, and we've got Cert Supervisor. Larry, do you have a question? Is that a question?
More of a comment. While you were talking, I did some research, and CERT's involved in silver alerts across the country. The most close to us is San Mateo. So there are examples, at least a few, where CERT have been participating directly in activations for silver alerts.
That's good to know. I'll definitely use that in my conversation. Yeah, there's other areas where certain people have been working at EOCs and all kinds of, things. So I think, we just need to get out there more and have these, these talks with our other surrounding agencies that, hey, we're here and we're here to help. Thank you for that. So we've talked about doing sort of a general labor basic cert, which would be someone who doesn't have to take the full academy, but maybe will just show up, like we talked about, a family member driving you, right? On some recon, those kind of things. So this is just super basic for now, but we'll kind of hopefully get to a place where I can have a little bit more of a plan. I know Marcia already kind of has some things written down. Some processes just kind of put together. I just have to put them all together and look at them. We talked about doing like a sort of a civil core. My question always is, do they need to be fingerprinted? Because I know that, some people are not happy with that way that, that got sort of pushed out, not having to do that, which I totally understand. So what I told her basically is like, hey, I've got people who, they want to come help. And they have specialties and they have things that they can do to help us, right? And I said, I'm trying to understand the spontaneous volunteer, we're allowing people to come up, walk up basically, and become spontaneous volunteers. What's the kind of differential between someone coming to help us and doing a special project, and what if they happen to show up at the disaster? She's like, they can be spontaneous volunteers. They can do special projects anytime they want. They don't have to be CERT, they don't have to be, she's like, I would just ask that they're not around, teenagers or things like that, other people by themselves, but they don't have to be fingerprinted. They can come and do special projects. So for example, if somebody wants that, is interested in helping with mapping, or, maybe they can help us out with medical stuff because they're a retired doctor or nurse, but they don't really have time to commit to doing a full CERT academy. They just want to come, drop in, help out and go. We can do that. And then the spontaneous volunteers, if somebody decides like, okay, I like doing that special project for you, I'll probably show up in a disaster, then we'll make them as spontaneous volunteers. They just can't be, they have to be with somebody else at all times and watched, right? They can go on recon teams, but it's got to be a team of 3 or 4, and they can't be alone with somebody else, just somebody else. So we've kind of talked about some of these things because, we do have people that I think have talent, large animal rescues and things like that. We've lost some clientele over the years because of that. So I'm really looking at a way we can kind of spring some more people back in, and then make it easier to get more help, right? Because the more help we get at the ARC, the better. The more help we get in a shelter, the better, right? So I think we have something here that we can make where, we obviously still need full certs. We're never going to not want to do that, right? We're always going to want doing the recruiting and trying to get people in here, and still need cert supervisors. There's always needs for those roles. But I think we can look at getting some more help that doesn't necessarily be so labor intensive as, full certs for supervisor. Does that make sense, hopefully? What do you guys think of that?
I would support it. From my point of view, I know when I was working at the county, the message that we had was that, you can sign anyone up during an event, as for the duration of the event. Now, what would be nice would be able to know who we might want to call and say, hey, would you be willing to come down and help? Because we already know what their skills are. But that's not, hang on, I'll mute so you don't hear our phone.
So I think, there's some, I know Cupertino has quite a good Civil Corps, and I think that's something that we could do as a, subgroup, right, for us, because there's no reason if people, want to help, but they don't really have the time, to put into it. We could definitely still use their help on some of these things. So I think really looking at that too is another way to go. So as soon as I get these hybrid programs off the ground and running, then this is gonna be my next step here, is to really delineate these kind of things, and that way you can go find family members or friends and say, hey, pretty easy to fill out this form, or do you want to just come help us for certain things or do special projects? Dave, did you have something to say, or is that just a switch, a microphone switch?
No, it's just microphone switch.
Okay.
I'm gonna go up and get some dinner. I'll be back in a minute.
Okay, we're almost done.
I would make one more comment along
Sure.
that line, and that is that it's probably going to be much easier to talk to friends and neighbors who have special skills and simply describe to them what we do as a CERT program and tell them that, hey, we might want to call on you in an emergency. Would you be willing to be on our standby list or some form of that sort? And then you just sign them up as DSWs at the time of the event.
Yep, that's exactly what I think we'd like to do with these, special projects, specialties, spontaneous volunteer type people. And if they want to be involved in, more than we kind of go that route. But yeah, I think that's kind of what we're looking for, right? People we can call on. They don't have to do a ton of drills or a ton of whatever. But if I'm a nurse and I want to come respond and help, for sure. Neil brought up a really good point. I agree with you, Neil. A category we're missing is neighborhood survey, bat watch team. And I think that's something that Cody at the town is working on. I know, before COVID, Denise was working on kind of coordinating with him on that. But I think that's definitely something that we should look at for sure. Because you guys have never, do you guys have neighborhood watch groups? I thought there was some. Dave, if you're talking, I can't hear you. I know Los Altos does.
So they keep threatening to put that together, but it hasn't happened yet.
Okay, who's they? The town?
I've heard, multiple people wanted to set up network neighborhoods, and I don't know if the town is really supporting it or not. Person I know who was really active in it a couple of years ago was Joan Sherlock.
Yes. Yep.
But, again, I don't know that the program's gotten very far.
Okay. Now that she's on our commission board, I'm really excited because I think that one of the things that she's going to be helping us out on with is some of these kind of type items. So I'm really, really excited. Fire safe neighborhood program. Is that through Neil? Is that through
That's
Fire Safe
Denise's
Council?
project.
Yeah, Fire Safe Council. Yeah. Yep.
Neighborhood Watch in our area had for a while was very powerfully covered. But the key is having the driving family remain in town. Once the people who had organized the
Oh.
arrangement left the area, nobody else picked it up. And so now all we have is a sign, not an organization. But I think the real point, however, it may very well be that it's easier to set up that neighborhood type of thing again than a CERT neighborhood type of activity because it's more immediate.
Right.
One of the real challenges has been we haven't had an earthquake in forever length of time, but we've had an awful lot of robberies. And so maybe the avenue to use is to reach out to people again with neighborhood watch and then say, hey, while you're talking about this, maybe you ought to also look into CERT.
Yeah, and I think Neil's bringing up a good point about the fire safe community, the Firewise communities, because realistically, as CERTs, that should be something that we should be kind of pushing out to our neighborhoods and trying to form these fire safe communities. And I think along the lines of these kind of projects or specialty groups, maybe we have that as a challenge is to gather your neighbors and start a Firewise community. It's not really that difficult. I mean, the district does a lot of the work and the town to do that. It's just finding that leadership of, like you were saying, Larry, the leadership of that neighborhood, right? And that's I think one of the bigger challenges because we definitely have all the tools to make people. I think that's what Drew's going through right now is the leadership training and things like that for the Firewise. Yeah, Mira has a good idea. Maybe pick one like zone and work on creating a neighborhood, group in that. And I think that's what our evacuation workshops, that's what we're tailoring that to as groups, but it's getting the word out and things like that. We've had a lot of interest, but having people create the groups within themselves, because I think a little challenging, especially if people are busy and because of COVID and things like that, because this is really a grassroots type campaign. And so we're missing that part of that because of COVID. So I think these are all great things to add on to our list, but hopefully I'll have some more updates for you next month or at the next general CERT meeting on kind of how we're going to be disseminating this out. These are things that would be cool to get because some of our newer CERT members that are coming and teens and things like that might have parents that might not want to take the CERT program, but they'll be happy to come down with their kid because they're a nurse or doctor, right? Because they have to have their parent there. So
Victoria, I was wondering,
yes.
if this neighborhood watch, is it this different? How is it that different from the Los Altos Hills neighborhood watch program that I think they're trying to start? I think there's a Cody from the town of Los Altos Hills, because I've actually been working with him I'm trying to start a neighborhood watch, but it's more for crimes and things like that, I guess, for my neighborhood.
Yeah, I think what they were trying to do at one point last year was when Cody was kind of putting this together, they wanted to kind of put this is her wording, like an a la carte menu, like, okay, you're a neighborhood watch. You can also choose to do an evacuation part of that too, right? To add on to your group. And then we talked about sort of a CERT aspect too, where you're kind of trained medically. So you're trained medically, you're trained Firewise, and you're trained in the say crime. So the way I can think about it in those groups, because we can use those groups to jump off into to making other aspects of your group. So yeah, that's that. I think Neil, is that what you're talking about?
There's a lot of people who've talked about various programs, so I'm not focused on one in particular. I do think we have a lot of bullet items on the slide, plus more on the chat, and we're not going to be able to do all of them. So picking a few and making them succeed is probably the right answer.
Yeah, what I think we're waiting for is for Cody to put together his sort of neighborhood watch program, and then hoping to spring off that and say, hey, now that you're a neighborhood watch program, how about you become a Firewise, community? And then, hey, why don't you have some, trained certs in your Firewise community, and, kind of working off that. I just don't know how far that's gotten. Annie, does it seem like he has any kind of end? Because I've been hearing about this for like a year and a half. Does he have any other, you have any updates that you've kind of been dealing with him with?
Well, I've been corresponding with him over emails, and from what I understand, I think there's like only 1 or 2 groups that's been activated. He's definitely working there actively on it, but it doesn't seem like there's a lot of groups right now, and I'm one of them that's trying to start in my neighborhood, which I think I just kind of use the next door neighborhood, as a guideline. But it doesn't sound like there's a whole lot. There's at least 1 or 2 that's activated though.
Interesting. Okay. I'll have to ask Denise if she has any updates on that. I think once we kind of figure out in the specialty groups, I think we should start branching out, like Neil's saying, we can add more later, but pick one thing. I don't know if you guys, I think we've been trying to work on something like this for a little bit. So I say we tackle this, and then I think that will hopefully can feed into some of the other programs, like, the Neighborhood Watch, kind of tagging onto that program. Okay, so the last thing I was hoping to talk about is I want these supervisor meetings, these cert supervisor meetings, to be productive. And my thoughts are, what do you need from me for this group? What in the past have you guys done? Because I don't have a whole lot of history to go off of when it comes to these supervisor meetings. What are our goals and objectives of these? Are we doing, extra training for you guys? How are we going to format these meetings? I know we talked about anyone could come to any meeting, but I also wonder if there's, some thoughts on maybe, every other month we meet and we have a, hour and a half and we do a pretty, some training, some presenters. I mean, what do you guys kind of see as wanting this group to, where do you want it to go? How do you want to format the meetings? What kind of training would you guys be looking for? I know I've talked to Dave Stewart a little bit about, and Eduardo as well mentioned it. I think Neil might have mentioned it too. Doing some more advanced training, right, with you guys. So maybe not you got the basic cert training, but maybe doing a little bit more advanced training with you on some different topics. But I was kind of looking for some. Oh, thank God, Neil. Yes. So I'm looking for some ideas for these questions. And also Neil's, thank God he's reminding me, we're looking for help with our Cert Supervisor binder. We have, I think, 3 or 4 people that want to go through the Cert Academy training. And we're looking for some help with just refreshing the binder and updating it. And one of the needs we have is for someone to update the ICS portion of the supervisor binder. A lot of the updates are coming from just like the FEMA website for some of these classes. And it's just a matter of researching what the newest and latest and greatest is on that topic. So if someone could help, I would love that. I think we have most of the other topics done. Neil, am I missing anything? I think that was the outstanding one we needed help with, right?
That was the big one, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, if you have time, that would be awesome to help us out with that update. So as far as goals and objectives for the Cert Supervisor meetings or the group, what are you guys seeing as you want out of these meetings? And how can we format it so it's useful and helpful for you guys? Larry.
I would offer that it's been quite a long time since we've actually walked through the details of the various stations that we would be needing to staff at the ARC. I would enjoy, for instance, actually seeing what's done with the operations / information technology part. Really, a real walkthrough where a tabletop, if you like, where we actually go back and find out what still is the right way and what's changed. It's also true of staging. Staging in the past is quite a bit different than it seems like it's going to be now. And then, of course, for the next year or two, how does COVID going to affect what we're doing? Those are things I would like to see, mostly because sure, you can pull out the manual and start reading it, but at the same time, as we have, at least in my experience, has been, unless you've actually done it, the reading about it in the middle of an adrenaline rush is not a great way to start. Enough said.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Okay, so anybody else have anything to add to Larry's comments? Dave Stewart?
Yeah, I think, am I off? Yeah, I guess I'm off mute now. I think there's kind of two pieces of what supervisoring is. One is the management of the group in terms of, like you just said, we need people to volunteer to rework the training or do training. And that's all what the Red Cross calls the blue sky work. It's the stuff that we just need to do to keep the organization running. And I think Larry's got an excellent point that we haven't had an actual activation style drill in 2 years probably. And part of that is COVID, but every time we do a ARC activation, we have a set of plans that we made up from what didn't work in the last one. And then we try it again and we go, well, okay, so now the bottleneck has moved to over here. And we don't know, in fact, I'm remembering the last one we did, we were having difficulty with what was the role of the incident commander versus the operations chief versus a recon operations person, and how did those people all stay synchronized? So it's the kind of thing where doing a drill and understanding what works and what doesn't is sort of the core of training the supervisors group. How do we want to structure the ARC operation itself? And the best way to do that is to do it and see what's broken and try and fix it.
Yep. So I had reached out to Foothill and said, hey, we need to have an activation drill pretty soon. What are your rules right now about social distancing, blah, blah, blah. And they basically told me, well, yeah, you can't do that. There's no way you can do it right now. And, our campus is closed, and unless it opens, and when it opens, you'll have to go through, it sounds like you have to rent out the parking lot. This is my communications EOC person at Foothill College. So, I just said, okay, thank you for letting me know. But my next push is going to be, to the police chief and just say, hey, look, we're essential workers. We most of us are vaccinated. The people coming out there are going to be vaccinated, most likely, or, know what they're getting into. And we need to have this. So I just need to find a date, and I need to kind of write out exactly what we're going to be doing for the ARC activation. And then I'm going to go to the police chief and talk to him about it. So I think, because that's always something we talked about, but I think a lot of you have been getting vaccinated. So, we still will, obviously, we're going to be wearing masks. We're going to be social distancing, right? We're going to be careful, but I really want to push it. But I think we need to set a date and then give him a clear, hey, we haven't done this in 2 years. There's been COVID changes. We need to kind of figure out what we're doing and how we're going to do it. So,
Yeah.
We really need to get in there. So,
and as Larry said, we need to figure out how to do it in a COVID safe way.
We do. Yeah. So I'm going to use that as like, hey, we haven't had these and we have COVID now. We have to set up things a little bit differently. We need to play with that a little bit. So, it's not a huge difference, but, he's not going to get that granular with it. So I think for us, where's our safe feelings, right? Do we want to start off with just having cert supervisors do it? Because that way it's a smaller group. We can kind of get our, our stuff figured out, right? And then we can do a larger one with the other folks that can join us. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think relative to doing what I'd call an arc drill, there's no reason why we couldn't include other people as virtual recon, right? A big piece of the way we've done arc drills in the past is we fake up incidents and then make sure that that information gets passed around the arc. And then do we actually remember to do health and welfare checks every half hour?
Yeah.
Someplace in the middle, a proctor comes by and says, we need to find X, a human. Can you put your finger on that person in under 10 minutes? And, making sure that we can do those sorts of essential things really requires not much more than, a proctor or somebody to sort of create emergencies and wander around and see how we're doing.
Yeah.
And, a lot of this can be socially distant. One of the issues we've had at the ARC is, the social distance of the awnings are 15 feet away from each other was one of the problems of being able to know what was going on over in staging or know what was going on over in recon. So, we put that all together again. I think the last thing we figured we wanted to try and do was to build what were essentially log sheets and run them over the copier and hand them across from one team to the other every, I forget what, 10, 15 minutes. So that we would know what was going on in the other groups. And we've never even tried that. We finally bought the copiers, but we haven't tried it yet.
Okay. So
we could certainly do that socially distanced, right? You put the tents 10 feet away from each other, wear masks in the tents anyway, and pass paper back and forth.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, next steps would be maybe putting out I'm going to have to do the ask first. So I probably need to see how many people would participate, right? So I'll have to do a doodle on that. We'll do it on a weekend. That way, nobody's technically, because I think some of the admin people come in and go. I don't see a whole lot of them at a time, but I do see some people on site a little bit. So, kind of figuring out what a good date would be, how many people would show up to it. Then we can get more granular. And once I get permission, hopefully, get a little more granular on it, and kind of just give them an overall view of what we're going to be doing. And I can easily type that up. That's not a huge ask. So I guess I'm just looking to see if that's the direction you guys want to go before I go do the ask. I guess raise your hand if you're for it.
Yeah, Neil points out, is it okay to have drills if everyone is vaccinated is a good question to ask.
If we're still social distancing and we're still, making sure that we're, wearing our masks and, being careful, that's what I need to, it should be summerish. I'm thinking probably like an early June, right? That'll give everybody a time to get vaccinated.
Yeah.
The campus might be even open up by that time. Is that a good place to shoot for you guys, like late May, early June? Yeah, I think so, Neil. I have to figure out what the actual, okay, good. I said, that's what I'm thinking is summerish too. I know the big push is to have everybody vaccinated by May, but that's quite a big task to undertake.
Not doing it then.
And I don't think that's really
I thought it did.
going to happen. We already have delays this month. So what's going to happen, right, in a couple months when we got everybody getting vaccinated? Okay, cool. I'll put some feelers out for that for you guys. But Dave, so we're going to go with everyone can come.
Yeah, see, Dave's got this.
Right?
Yeah, I would think so. Certainly, you want all the supervisors, and I think anyone who would show up to what would be essentially an ARC drill would either be a supervisor or want to become one.
Yeah, and that's where I think where we might get caught up in being able to, because right now, they're saying no more than 10 people, right, from different households. Okay. So yeah. I think the bigger that we're going to look, which is fine, but I think that will will be more of an issue, especially if we're going to be on the Foothill campus. So
Well,
let me see what
thinking
they're
out of the
comfortable with
box,
too.
do we have to have it at Foothill?
Well, that's what I was just going to say.
Or could it even be purely virtual? Because
Yeah,
it's not as convenient, but
yeah.
you know, we could treat multiple rooms as the various tables at the Arc.
So I think that's another thing to look at too, right? If we can't, yeah, I mean, why not? That's totally doable.
Yeah, I agree that that thought went through my head too, is that if Foothill is just being, the stick in the mud, we should look at somewhere else.
Yeah.
And
Or if we
virtual-
could do it 3 months earlier, without.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason why we can't do something like this next month, right?
Yeah, if it's virtual,
Online,
you could do
yeah.
it, you could do it as soon as you figure out how you're going to make it work.
Well, there you go there. That's that's going to be the holdup.
Yeah, yeah.
No, it's true. Yeah. So what I'll do is let me put out to the group, if people would be interested in having maybe a drill prep meeting, we can make it on one of these maybe we can make it on a training night. How do you guys feel about that?
Well, or, to go back to my point about there's the blue sky work, we could have a meeting that was just dedicated to how are we going to get this to go.
You guys okay with doing a separate meeting? I'm just trying to limit the amount of meetings that people have to go to, because I know we've got a lot going on with trainings and meetings and stuff. But if people are okay with that, then yeah, I'm totally down for that.
Yeah, I guess, I'm thinking of it as yet another Cert Supervisor meeting. It's a working meeting to actually
Okay.
work through, what is the plan, have a presenter say, here's how I think we should do it. And somebody else argues and we tune a little bit,
Yeah.
but we all walk away with a shared understanding of how the drill is going to work. And then the next time we do a drill.
Okay. So next supervisor meeting, we'll do that. Is that what you're thinking? Or do you want to do a separate one?
No,
Okay.
I'd be fine with next.
Okay. All right. And then I'll hopefully have some kind of update on Foothill too. So, okay. Good suggestion, Neil. Good job, Dave. Okay, cool. So as far as formatting the meetings, what we kind of talked about, what extra training you guys want to see. Was there anything else that you guys, I'd love some suggestions on formatting and what, we got some extra training stuff from you, Larry. That's great. But, I really want these meetings to mean something. And I just feel like I'm not doing a very good job running these meetings. So if somebody has suggestions on what we could do, maybe, different Cert supervisors present, each meeting each month. Do we want to go to every 2 months? Like what, what are we looking at here? Does anyone have any thoughts? Wow, you guys are all talking over each other. I can't understand what anyone's saying. There's so much activity going on.
I feel we need to do more. We need to do something. And
Yeah. What is that something though? That's where I'm struggling. It's like, what do you think we could do?
training, exercises, tabletop exercises. There's some way to do that over Zoom.
Okay. Yes, I think I turn into the biggest pumpkin, Neil. Yeah. I'll put out a follow-up email tomorrow morning on this and see if I get some more awake and alive responses. Like I said, I've been on Zooms all day and I think I'm pretty much tapped out. So does anyone have anything else to add? And I'm going to follow up with this stuff. Nope. Okay. I'm going to put us all out of our misery here and stop sharing my totally uneventful PowerPoint. Yep. Okay. So let's plan for a tabletop. You want to do
So
a
do they exist? Or do they have Zoom style tabletops?
There's a way we can do that. Yeah, we can do breakout rooms and all kinds of stuff. And there's like Post-it boards and so this time slot next month. This is a tabletop soups planning meeting, right, Neil? Or do you want to actually do a drill?
I say let's do the drill, testing the documents that Dave and I drew up gosh, 18 months ago now.
Yeah. it's been a
And we're
while.
writing a new procedure stock for how to use them.
Okay.
And that'll be a forcing function. Gosh, I just noticed Steve and Dave are twins in their clothes. So
Yeah. They got the plaid memo for today.
It's the uniform. Didn't you guys?
sorry,
get the
I'm
memo?
easily distracted. It's a good forcing function to, get that procedure stock out for review.
Okay. Does someone want to take on planning that drill?
I'm happy to do it, but it's basically going to be run through the procedure stock.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you, Neil. You've made my St. Patty's Day. Since I can't have green beer like I'd like to, because I'm going to go to bed right now, you have made my day doing that. Thank you, Neil.
We're pressure cooking our corned beef right now.
Oh, so jealous. My family won't eat corned beef. I get none. Nothing. Oh, yeah. Oh, that is the
Hey,
beer
Dave.
right there. That Guinness is that's the spice of life right
It's-
there.
It's mother's milk, Irish mother's milk.
There you go. So true. All right. Okay. So we're going to do next supervisor meeting. We're going to do a tabletop soup drill. All right. So
And
Be
let's make sure
prepared.
we let enough people. I know you're very good about sending out, weekly notices of what's coming up,
yes.
but it's not just soups invited. It's everyone
Everybody.
who wants to.
Yep. Agreed. Okay. Got it. And then I can send out that supporting document, Neil, right? That we used the last one we did as a attachment to the email.
I'm not
They
sure
can
which
review it?
document. I'm not sure which document we're referring to, because the one that's going to be driving this meeting hasn't been written yet.
Aha. Never mind. Got it. I'm thinking about your pre
The first
activation.
hour.
Yes. My brain reverted back to what we talked about first hour. So sorry about that. Okay, cool. All right. Well, happy St. Patty's Day, everybody. Enjoy your corned beef, Guinness, and oh, it's an Irish kitty.
No, he's orange, so he's anti-Irish.
Oh, sorry. True that. All right, cool. Well, thank you, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your night. We'll see you at the next one, whenever the next one
Okay.
is next
Bye.
week. Bye.
Night, everybody.
Enjoy your corned beef.